Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video lecture I shall continue discussing the remaining part of Act 2 of the play A Doll's House by Henry Gibson. So now we see that Krogstad makes his appearance in the play once again, and he comes and informs Nora that he has received the notice from Torvald, and he questions Nora if her husband has any affection, any care for her. Otherwise, how could he send such a letter to him? And when he learns from Nora that Torvald is not aware of the truth, he simply laughs, saying that he should have thought it beforehand, because Torvald is not so courageous a man to send that kind of a letter to Krogstad after having known the truth. So as he speaks disrespectfully of Torvald, he is immediately warned by Nora that he shouldn't speak disrespectfully of her husband. And from now we shall see that a very serious interaction takes place between Nora and Krogstad. And Krogstad makes every attempt to make Nora realize the graveness, the seriousness of the act of her crime, because so long we have never seen, Nora considering or the seriousness of her action, or thinking about the consequences of her action. The only thing she knows that she has raised a loan for the treatment of her husband and she has to pay back the money. That's it. But here, Nora, yes, after having made aware of the seriousness of the crime that she has committed, and Torvald Krogstad, in fact, he also refuses to return the IOU, the declaration that was signed by Nora. And that paper was the one where she forged the signature of her father. So Krogstad refuses to return the agreement, and he says that even after he is paid the entire money by Nora, still he's not going to return the declaration. And if she thinks of doing anything worse, like if she thinks of committing, suicide, because whenever someone is in such a circumstance, they often, they have this tendency to commit to end their life. And when Nora questions Krogstad as to how did he know that such kind of thought was hovering in her mind, so he says that most of us think of that to begin with. I did too, but I didn't have the courage. So here a parallel is drawn between Nora and Krogstad. So even once when Krogstad was undergoing a very difficult situation in his life, he too thought of ending his life, but he could not, because he says that he lacked that courage. And Nora says that even she lacks the courage and here we understand again, we come to see once again the importance of social reputation at that time. And because here from what Krogstad says, that he proposes that the entire matter, could be settled in a very friendly manner, and even nobody would come to know about it. It would remain between him, Torvald, and Nora. And when Nora pleads before him, not to do any such thing, not to cause any harm to Torvald, when she requests Krogstad to think of her children, the same thing is said by him. He says that, did you or your husband think of mine? So So did you people ever think of my children? So why should I now think of your children? But still he says that he's not going to take any initiative now. So he's giving the last opportunity to Nora, so that she could persuade, she could convince her husband to let him keep his job at the bank. But here the thing is, we find that Nora is mistaken. Nora thinks that Krogstad is going to write a letter to her husband asking him to pay him more money, and there she goes wrong. She is mistaken. Krogstad is not after his money, but what he wants is, he wants his reputation back. Because he says that I'm not talking about the money, okay? What I want is, I want my reputation back. Because Nora says that if you want more money from my husband, then give me some time, I will manage everything. But then she learns that he is actually not after his money, and he's not going to ask Torvald to provide him with more money. And this shows that during that time period, during the late 19th century, for an individual, his social reputation was of much importance. But so now, so far, like till this point, we as readers, we do sympathize with Krogstad a little bit, especially when he tries to justify himself, saying that they should have also taken care of his children, but that they did not do. But now, through his words, as we progress, as we proceed, we come to know Krogstad's real intention. And we also see that here, just like Torvald, Krogstad is also greedy for money. He is also greedy for social status, and that is exposed. But initially, whatever he was saying, it seemed to be justified. But now it no longer appears to be justified, because now he says that by hook or by crook he would reach the top. Okay, and then Nora would realize what the situation really is. And one more thing we find, that Krogstad is confident enough to say that Torvald would very easily give in to his demands, and he will make him create a vacancy for him at the bank, and he would definitely do that. So here a threat comes from Krogstad, to Helmer's position in the bank, because he says that he will do it without so much as a whimper. So without complaining, without any cry, like a child, he would simply give in to my pressure. He'll simply give in to my demand. I will be his right-hand man. I'll be the most important man at the bank, and later what would happen? I'll be the one who would run the bank, and not Torvald Helmer. And after having said these words, after having threatened Torvald's position at the bank, he is also threatened by Nora, where she threats to kill him in order to protect her husband. From these words, whatever Krogstad says about Helmer, one thing becomes clear to us, and later it would become more clear to us, because we find that Krogstad seems to know Torvald much better than Nora, although she's his wife, and that is really ironical. And Krogstad finally warns Nora, saying that aren't you forgetting that your reputation would then be entirely in my hands? I expect, when Helmer gets my letter, I expect to hear from him, and don't forget, it's him who is forcing me off the straight and narrow again. So he Krogstad holds Torvald responsible, for making him go astray. So after this, and that's why he says that he's never going to forgive Helmer, ever, because he has actually, compelled Krogstad to follow the path of dishonesty once again. And after this, he leaves and he leaves the letter in the letter box. And then Mrs. Linde comes in. And from here we know that Christine comes to know about the actual truth. Because earlier she thought it was Dr. Rank who may have lent the money, but now it becomes clear to her that it is Krogstad who has lent the money to Nora. And from here we also come to know that Nora reveals emotionally, she becomes so distressed emotionally, that she takes Mrs. Linde into her confidence and requests her to testify to her guilt in order to save Helmer, because she is afraid that when the secret will be revealed, Helmer would take the entire blame, would take the entire responsibility of the crime on himself. Okay, and from here we find that Nora's deception gradually gets unwinded, and here it is also informed to us that Mrs. Linde has some relation or had some relationship with Krogstad, because she knows him, and we understand the nature of her relationship with Krogstad, because she reveals that here and saying that there was a time when he would have done anything for me. And this statement from her foreshadows their eventual marriage. And then she says that she will go and talk to Krogstad and she will try to get the letter back from him. And so Mrs. Linde leaves, and then we find Helmer enters. Helmer comes in, and a very very simple interaction takes place relating to the ball, relating to the masquerade ball that is going to take place at Steinbock's party. And Nora here again tries to project herself as a woman who is entirely dependent on her husband, even if it comes to choosing an outfit, choosing a costume that she would be wearing at the party. And actually what Nora is trying to do here, Nora, since she knows that the letter is there in the letter box, so she tries to manipulate Torvald and tries to keep him busy so that he doesn't go and open the letter box. And at the same time, she continues to perform the role of the perfect wife. So here, the superficiality is the superficiality in their marriage becomes very, very clear. Because here a statement when Nora says, Helmer, are you really so nervous, Nora dear? So Helmer asks Nora if she's really very nervous regarding her performance of Tarantella, and she says, yes, she is. And then she says, tell me what to do. Keep me right, as you always do. This is also ironical. Why? This is ironical in the sense that Torvald was always against borrowing money, right? But Nora did that behind his back. So Torvald has actually failed to keep her right. And she continues to pretend that she is very, very stressed out, and then she rehearses before Torvald. And the way she performs the tarantella before Torvald, she dances wildly. And what Nora is actually doing here, she is releasing her wild emotions, her inner turmoil, and this wild dance also represents her desire for freedom. And Helmer says that you are dancing in a way as if your entire life depends on it. Yes, that's true. Because Nora is afraid what would happen to her, that her happiness, would come to an end if the secret gets revealed. So here this conversation between Helmer and Nora is quite ambiguous, because everywhere we find that there is a dual meaning. And Helmer says that, before that, Helmer says that this is sheer madness, stop I say. I would never have believed it, you have forgotten everything I ever taught you. Now this is also very ambiguous, because she has completely gone, we know that she has already gone against Torvald's belief. Okay, she has already gone against Torvald's instructions. And Helmer says, I would never have believed it. You have forgotten everything I ever taught you. So, from now on, we shall see things turning up in a very different way. Because Nora says that, you see how necessary it is, you must go on coaching me right up to the last minute. So, even Nora seems to believe that Torvald has the capacity, Torvald has the ability, to guide her properly in life. And Helmer says, you can rely on me. This is indeed a false assurance, because this would be proved in the final act of the play. You were still frightened of what that man might. And Helmer says, I can see from your face that there is already a letter there from him. I don't know, I think so, but you mustn't read anything like that now. We don't want anything horrid coming between us until all this is over. So Nora is very, very scared. She's scared to hell. And here she, behaves, her behavior appears to be, is taken to be childish. Even her fears are not taken seriously, as I had already mentioned. And then Helmer says, the child must have her way, but tomorrow night when your dance is done, Nora, then you are free. Yes, double meaning. After the dance will be done, after she will be done with her performance of the tarantella at the Steinbock's party, it would release Torvald in reality. And then Nora here, for the first time we find that before Torvald, she asks for champagne, she asks for macaroons, which shows that she is no longer willing, to follow Torvald's strictures, to follow Torvald's orders, instructions, and which again foreshadows the final decision or the final scene of the play. And they go out to the right, and then Dr. Rank and Helmer, they go out to the right, and Mrs. Linde comes in and she informs that Krogstad has left town. He will be coming back tomorrow, but she has left a note for him. And Nora says, you must let things let things take their course, because really it's a case for rejoicing, waiting like this for the miracle. Nora wants to enjoy this moment. Why? Because she is expecting a miracle. And for so many years, it appears as if she has been, waiting for a miracle to happen. And what that miracle is, or whether that miracle would happen or not, that would be seen in the final act of the play. And when she talks about a miracle taking place, she appears to be optimistic. And finally, Nora begins to count the hours left to her. 7 hours to midnight, 24 and 7, 31 hours to leave. So, limited time for her to be happy. So, Nora, here she is. So, and Helmer says, what's happened to our little skylark? And Nora says, here she is. And with this line, Act 2 comes to an end. But this counting of hours is significant because it carries a sense of impending disaster, and it also underlines Nora's acute fear because she believes that the time is very, like, the time to enjoy herself is very, very limited. And with this we come to the analysis of Act 2 of this play. I hope you like the lecture, and I hope it helps you. It turns out to be, quite helpful for you in understanding the text. So if you like it, and if you find my lecture intelligible, do subscribe to my channel. Until then, bye bye.